Let's talk about goal setting. We know that a necessary part of long-term success is the ability to set and achieve our goals. The best way to get where you want to go is to first clearly define where that is. But you're not alone if you've ever struggled with how to reach your goals once you've set them. So I have a creative solution that might be just what you're looking for. It's called Assumptive Goal Setting, and it works. Let me set up an example to teach it to you. Let's suppose your goal for next year is to increase your departmental sales by 30%. That's a big stretch, and you're asking yourself, how do I get there from here? It was tough enough just to get to this point. In other words, that new goal seems a long way off. Well, maybe it's because you're approaching it from the wrong perspective. When you ask, how do I get there from here, you're setting where you are as the anchor point to grow from. But the thing about anchors is that they hold us in place and keep us from moving forward. So as odd as it sounds, we aren't going to use where we are as our starting point for reaching next year's goals. Instead, we'll apply the 3 steps of assumptive goal setting to make a plan for how to get there. It's a simple process, but it will change your whole way of thinking. Step 1 is called start with where you're going, not with where you've been. Most people set the past year's achievement as this year's starting point. Because you've already reached it, it only seems natural for that to become your first point of focus. But remember, when you do that, it sets where you are as your anchor, and you just don't need an anchor holding you back. So instead, you'll do it differently by putting all your attention on your new future goal. Rather than writing down your latest results as your starting point, you will write down your future goal as the starting point. That's why we say start with where you're going. This will make more sense as we move on to step 2. Step 2 is where you assume you have already reached your goal. You do that by mentally taking yourself to the future date where you imagine you've already reached the goal. So instead of worrying in the present about whether you can even get there, you simply eliminate that as an issue. You do it by mentally leaping forward to the end of your goal period and envision that you are there, that you have reached your goal. So in that future frame of mind, you're looking back on having done what you decided to do. You increased sales by 30%. Try to feel it, celebrate it, and relish the accomplishment. Don't even worry for now about how you got there. We'll take care of that in the next step. But this really feels good because mentally you have succeeded. You did what you set out to do. Now comes step 3, and this is the good part. This is where you describe how you reached the goal. So while you're still in your future state of mind, you ask yourself, now that we reached our goal, how did we do it? What did we have to do to get here? Yes, there were challenges, roadblocks, and obstacles, but in this scenario, remember, you've already handled every one of them successfully. That's why you're here celebrating having achieved it. And since it was possible and you did it, you now describe and write down in detail what steps you took to get there. The process of describing it as if it has already been achieved opens your mind up, and the steps to get there will flow much more freely. For example, with that goal to increase sales by 30%, you might write down, to get the 30% sales increase, we needed 3 more salespeople, and so we hired them. Or if the goal was to become more profitable and efficient, you might write, one way we increased profitability was by coordinating parts pickups with deliveries, and that saved us both time and money. Perhaps one of your goals was to eliminate the conflict between you and your team members, and so you might write down, I now have a much better working relationship with my team. I did that by becoming a better listener, plus I regularly asked and thanked them for their input. Do you see how effective this approach can be? Let's summarize. First, you use your end goal as the starting point, and then you make the mental jump to the future as if you've already achieved it. Then you analyzed in the past tense what it took to get you there. You describe how you overcame obstacles and difficulties, and you write down in detail what you did, how you did it, and what steps you took. Now you can use what you wrote down as your guide going forward to actually achieve those goals. This approach becomes even more effective as you involve your team members in the assumptive goal setting process. You will be amazed at the creative energy this will generate in the group as they work together on it. Plus, they'll become more personally committed to making it happen. Here's what I can promise as you make assumptive goal setting a regular part of your planning process. In addition to just setting goals, you'll now be able to develop the steps that will take you there. You and your team will be much more united as you work together for a common purpose. And finally, you will reach and surpass goals that you never before thought you could achieve.